Whatever stage you're at with your trading, it's important to stop and gain perspective before planning your next move. Take a break from the charts and join in the discussion with our hosts, Jason Graystone and Akil Stokes, as they share insights, opinions and expertise on all things trading. Grab a coffee, pull up a chair and join the Trader Coffee Break.
Well, welcome to another Trader Coffee Break. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a good week so far. I've had a fantastic trading week, which is great. I've had 4 trades, 4 winners, and that's been amazing. That's been a really good start to the week. I don't know about you, Akil. How's your trading gone this week?
It was good until this morning. I had one. It's been a good week overall. I had one this morning that rallied up like 2 pips before the ADP came out, 2 pips before target, and then ran back down to get stopped out. So that was a little bit of a stinker, but I can't complain. The rest of the week has been pretty good. So it's been a nice little slow and steady, kind of boring end of the week, end of the month, tally everything up, and you're like, hey, not bad. So that's just how I like it.
Yeah, good. And I thought I'd celebrate my good day, because as traders, it's really important to celebrate as well. And I'm not talking like go off all cocky because you've had a winning streak, but yeah, you have to have a level of gratitude, because it is just you and the charts at the end of the day. So it's always good to recognize that you feel good about your trading. I think that's important.
Well, I'll tell you what, yeah, it's underrated, because we, as human beings in general, we focus more always on the pain and the negatives. Like I've always read and heard, like it takes like 6 or 7 times positive things just to defeat one negative thing.
Yeah.
And I think as traders, we take winning for granted. Like, I guess we come into something expecting, hey, we should be winning all the time. But then when we lose, it's something that's out of the norm and we panic. And a good way to combat that is like, celebrate your wins. Like you said, like be happy. Like winning in trading is even though it's expected once you have an edge and the psychological consistency to extract that edge, but like, it's still a hard thing to do, right? To get a win. So like take some time, tap yourself on the back. When I was a younger trader, I actually used to have victory music, where if it was a big win or a small win, I'd set up like a playlist before the day. And like every time I got a win, I'd play the music and like air guitar around my room and jump and dance. And then that was my little form of celebration, since back then I didn't have enough money to like buy myself anything. So I'm like, let me just dance around and act a fool. But enjoy it. It's hard. Like loosen up some. Like enjoy the moment.
Exactly. So we're talking about a real kind of underground topic today that you won't hear too many places, and that is you got a question, right, about the sacrifices that you have to make to become a trader. Was that a question that come into you, Akil?
Yeah, it was an email from one of our tier 1 members, actually. I guess a couple weeks ago, because we decided last week which topic we wanted to handle. But yeah, it was talking about this guy wants to be successful. Obviously, he's taking the right steps with being with tier 1 and putting himself on a professional platform to do everything that's needed. And we make no lies about it. Like, we're not out there kind of selling this dream. We're saying that hey, it's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of time. And that's why we do stuff like that 14-day trial, where it's like, hey, try us out and see if you really want to do this, because we're not here for those who are just trying to dip their toe in. Like, we're here for serious traders. And this guy's like, hey, I love it. I'm going through the stuff. Like, I really want this. I just had a question. I want to know, what should I look forward to sacrificing? Not look forward like you're excited about it, but like just being aware, because he's starting to set up his life. And I thought it was a good topic, because we do have to make a lot of sacrifices as being traders, as being investors, as being entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call it. Because if you want to be good at trading, it's going to take a massive amount of energy. It's going to take a massive amount of time. And, we're only given a set amount of time and energy per day. So when something else enters the equation, something else has to move out. So I would ask you this, when you first started, and whether it be trading or whether it be maybe another one of your businesses, I guess, were you prepared for the sacrifice? Did it sneak up on you? And what, if anything, had to be sacrificed in order for you to put in and concentrate on this new thing?
Yeah, there was a time, first of all, I think the the most common sacrifice that people ask about when it comes to trading is time, right? How much is it? How long will it take me? How long is it going to take me to master this thing? And that's really a loaded question. There's so many factors that go into that. But that's the most obvious sacrifice. And when it comes to time, I've if there's one thing I've learned, it's just things take much longer than you think. Like
yes.
All the time, with everything, it always takes longer than you think, because you're going to hit walls that you haven't seen, and you're going to have hurdles that you just don't know how to overcome straight away. But there was one particular, over the years, you become aware and conscious that in order to get to the bigger picture, you have to prioritize your time. You have to go through certain periods where you think, God, I'm not making much progress, but that pays off. And the biggest one was, for me, that I remember, was it was in a business, right? And we were doing well, and we was earning the money and everything, and I was doing pretty good in business. This is many, 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 many years ago. And I knew that I couldn't carry on this way. So that's when I started to learn to trade and things like that. And I thought, how can I stop this business taking so much of my time and my energy and my focus and all the rest of it? So trading was one thing, I had that going on, but also I knew that if I could just go and get a part-time job at McDonald's, I knew that I could get their contracts and see how they systemize all their staff and all their employment and all the processes, and I could just go put that in this business, and I'd be so free of time. And that's exactly what we did. We did that exact thing. And it was a very short-lived job, but I got what I needed, and it was this, it was a big moment for me, because I realized sometimes you just have to sacrifice your dignity. Like, it was dignity for me. It was like I had to
What, you got McDonald's? How dare you, Jason?
Well, I had to be. Can I have a job, please? And that's really not me. I'm really an unemployable person. But that was a good example. And then when it comes to trading, it's like, how badly do you want it? What time frame are you would be your ideal time frame, and what are you willing to sacrifice in order to speed that up or get to it on that target date? And time out, not only on your own, but family parties, family holidays. I remember there was a family holiday where I was literally watching a trading workshop, and 3 days of the holiday, for 3 hours each day, I'm sat there with earphones on, and my family are on holiday, right? So those kind of things. But again, you just keep telling yourself, this is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm doing it. And it's going to be, and you think about the payoff. And then when the payoff comes, you think, wow, it wasn't even a sacrifice. You don't even see it as a sacrifice. It's like, I'll do that 10 times over.
Yeah, that's the thing. We tend not to look at the big picture enough. We're so kind of present-minded. It's not even necessarily an instant gratification thing. I think just a lot of people don't, life is so busy, everything is rushing, everything's going on. I don't think a lot of people take time to sit down and think about, hey, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I remember that was what got me into trading initially, where I was working 3 part-time jobs, and I was making $30,000, which isn't anything. But at the time, I'm straight out of college. I've got no family or anything like that. I owned the apartment that we lived in, so I was living rent-free, and I don't really spend money on anything. So $30,000, I was living it up. And I look back now, and it's very easy for me to be stuck there and be like, man, I could have stayed there because I was quite comfortable. And I don't know why. I know why, because I kept getting hounded by my girlfriend at the time, her family, about, hey, when are you going to propose? When are you going to propose? They're going on 7 years of dating. And I'm like, I guess, we should get this thing rolling. And I started thinking about buying a ring. I started thinking about having kids, and just doing research on how much that costs. And it was thinking 5-10 years into the future. And I'm like, man, my life right now, when I'm this isn't going to cut it 5 years from now. And that scared me into doing something. Yeah. But yeah, sacrifice is interesting. And, sometimes you have to sacrifice your pride. I I used to be a big control freak, meaning like, and this is probably the reason this was one of the main reasons I wanted to be kind of an entrepreneur, if you want to call it that, is because I just don't like people telling me what to do. Like I want to do what I want when I want. And I remember starting a real estate business and being like, hey, I'm going to do everything myself. I'm going to be the one that they call when things break and manage this and collect rent and all that fun stuff, purely because of control and power. And like you, I learned very quickly, like, man, that takes up a lot of time, a lot of energy. And especially as someone who is learning how to trade at the same time, I'm supposed to be dedicating this hour or so to my trading. Then, water heater broke. Who do I got to call? And I got to go on site and travel, 45 minutes, 50 minutes away to this place. And it just wasn't worth it. So eventually we went with getting property managers. Yeah, they take their cut, but the cut that you pay them is more than worth kind of the hassle of me needing it to do it myself. And it also freed up time for me to insert kind of this trading thing in. So it's always an interesting balance with sacrifice too, because I think that we have to be willing to sacrifice more in the beginning. Well, let's put it like this. We are willing to sacrifice a lot at the beginning, I think, because we have to get the ball rolling, the momentum going on this new thing that we're learning, that we're creating, that we're trying to do. And then what's funny is that as we get older, the sacrifice kind of flips back, right? I don't know if you agree, but like we sacrifice a lot of time to insert the same thing. And then later on, we realize like, hey.
Oh, Akil has gone. Let's see if he comes back. But yeah, definitely a good point. What do you guys think in the comments, by the way? Let me know in the comments. Akil, you've just gone off a minute. Let me just
I just blacked out. I'm not sure if it was me or you, but I'm back.
Let me just get you back. Let me just get you back on track. Man, you was on a roll there. Let's
now I'm a colorful screen. I'm watching the stream up top, so I just saw myself disappear.
Oh man, let's get you back. Right, there you go. You're back. Carry on.
Back. Yeah, there we go. I don't know where it cut off at, but basically I was saying that the sacrifice balance is interesting because at first we're willing to sacrifice a lot more to achieve that thing, and then once we achieve that thing, now we start to sacrifice aspects of that thing to get that time back. So you're basically you're investing time on the front end to earn time on the back end. I just saw myself doing a silly dance there.
I always think, like, I always say, like, you never lose anything. It just changes form. And there's a great quote in one of my favorite films, Avatar, where she says, Awa's their god tree, right? And she says, energy never disappears. It's only borrowed, or you never die. Your energy's just borrowed. And I see that like as everything. So when you're talking about short-term, long-term gratification, you could have like a really good life. Put it this way. You could get paid on a Friday and have a great weekend. And then you get paid on a Friday and have an amazing weekend. And you're like having all these great weekends, right? But if you just sacrifice a few of those, let's just say that you sacrifice 50 weekends, the level at which your lifestyle will be enhanced by is not in proportion to 52 great weekends. It's much more. So if you can just delay the gratification after 50 weekends, the greatness of your life won't just be times 50 great weekends. It will be times 500. That's kind of how it works, how I've found it anyway. So there's a compound effect to the payoff if you delay the gratification. So you sacrifice to have an amazing, incredible life, right? And they say there's no traffic beyond the last mile, or whatever the saying is, right? Or once you get up the hill, it's plain sailing. That really is true. If you can just put it off a little bit, you're going to have, it will enhance the quality of your life exponentially. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I don't know if you agree.
Think about your equity curve, right? So, we the goal should be, if you're able to, like as an investor, like you don't want to touch your investments, like unless you're moving them to something else, right? Like, so think about the person that is a successful trader, and let's say they have a $10,000 account, and at the end of their trading year, let's say they had a 50% return, right? So they made $5,000, right? So that trader that takes that $5,000 out and does whatever with it, they're starting that next year with 10,000, right? So the similar example of, hey, like they've taken their paycheck and they've partied with it, and then next year they'll make a similar paycheck and they party with it. Well, same thing, right? If you just leave that 5,000 in, right, now you've got 15,000. Now the next return gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you look 5 or 6 years down the line, that little bit of a sacrifice just by not touching that money, right? Now your returns have increased exponentially, all because you've allowed your money to grow. So yeah, I believe in that energy thing. I believe it's the same way. You sacrifice a little bit now for later. I look back at my journey, and at the time it took me about probably like 2 years to become a successful trader. And that was the longest 2 years of my life. I'm like, this is forever. And now I look back and I can't even remember it. I'm like, man, it's like 2 years. Like that was like 16 years later, like that's a blip. It's nothing, but you don't see it at the time. Now, we talked kind of about the positive sacrifices. Have you had any, I guess, negative sacrifices that you, not necessarily that you regret, but things you had to do? I know you mentioned the family party. Were there any like strains on relationships with family, friends, anything like that, hobbies?
Totally. I mean, this is always, so just going back to what you said, first of all, I just want to, back in the day, there was times where I just worked from 5:30 in the morning till like literally 9:30 at night. And these days, funnily enough, it feels like I do that still, but it's just because I do what I want. Like, it's my life. Whereas back then it wasn't quite like that. But going back to your question, with any relationships, successful relationships, what I've realized, because I've been through every stage in our relationship, we've been together 20 years, 21 years, we've been married for 14 years nearly, and been through every phase, right? And the thing with relationships is you keep up with each other at the level at which you grow. So someone's gonna develop a little bit faster in a certain area, and one will develop faster in a certain area, and if you're not quite on the same page, there's going to be these phases or these periods where you're out of sync, and that is a challenge. That's a massive challenge. If you couple that with the fact that you are going in to learn this trading thing that is risky gambling, and and you've got all that going on, and you're at different levels of development in your knowledge, business, and all the rest of it, you're really alone, because no one trusts you, no one understands what you're doing, everyone just thinks you're crazy, and that is a challenge. And that is the point where, yes, that we may have had some down times, but that's a point where you've really got to put yourself first and go, do you know what, I believe in this, I know that I'm going to do this, and I've just got to trust that when I get the result that there'll be a payoff. Because you can't imagine not going after it. Imagine not going after it and then thinking, I always wanted to do that thing. What if I'd done that? Guess what's going to happen then? You'll start resenting your wife.
Yep.
You'll start resenting your wife. You'll just be like, that bitch. God, she kept me back all my life. And that's people don't like to think it, but you will definitely do that. You'll start to resent your kids. You'll start to resent your wife. And that's why people have midlife crisis. They just go off, they leave, they go, because they just need to do something for them for once. So there's always a payoff. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, that is so true. So true. People don't believe it until you actually go through it. If you go through it, it may be too late. I know something, and this kind of goes off the energy thing as well. For me, it was tough when I had kids. That was the biggest game changer for me. Like when I learned how to trade, I was single, again, had a girlfriend, but single, no responsibility. So it was easy for me to invest those 18 hours a day into trying to learn something. Yeah. Once you have kids, everything changes. It's not just time with the kids, but it's time doing stuff for the wife as well, because the wives, they're burnt out for taking care of the kids, and those small stuff like, hey, dishes, I'm going to watch them for a little bit.
When you have kids, the whole dynamic changes.
Yeah. And I didn't know how to handle it because I'm like a workosaurus. Like my mindset is like, okay, I just work hard and longer than everyone else and I'll become successful. And it worked up to the point. And I remember working from home, and this is where things got really rough for me, where it's like, I'm working from home and my kids don't understand work or anything like that. And like, they just come in or they're sitting by the door, like, play with me. And I'm like, I can't. And they're like, well, why can't you, Dad? I'm like, well, I'm working. Well, no, you're not. You're home. And like, they didn't understand that disconnect. And you see like the pout on their face, the shuffle out, and you're like, man, I'm a horrible parent. Like, I'm neglecting my kid. And I tried it both ways. At first, I would give into it, like, okay, I got to be a good parent, but then my work would suffer because now I'm not doing the things that I need to work. And it hit me the realization, right? The energy shift, the balance is I started explaining to my kids where it's like, hey, Dad needs to work now so that I can be available to go to the park with you later. Or Dad needs to make money now so we can go buy that toy you wanted. And understanding that, you know, we have to sacrifice this for the things we really want. For me, it's going to like mid-play days or midday plays at school or like piano recitals and not being like, oh man, I got to work. I can't see it. Like seeing those moments and seeing how happy they are to see me at those moments makes me realize like, hey, I can sacrifice one or the other. It's either at home drawing a picture or something, or it's the thing that really matters to them. And for me, I'm willing to sacrifice the small stuff for the thing that really matters. And that helped me become more comfortable because you can't have the best of both worlds. Like you can't, something's going to suffer. Either your relationships are going to suffer or your business is going to suffer. So you have to find where is that balance, risk reward, right? What is the most important thing and understand what you have to give up to keep that important thing or vice versa. Man. And it's tough. It's tough.
And it is tough, and especially with kids involved, because then you start weighing up, well, okay, I can sacrifice time now, but then these are the most important years, and how many of those important years have I got? And, you know, there was a time, like when I had my first son, I had a lot more time at home because of where I was and what I was doing. When the second one came, I was just building a business, and then it was like, now that's got ramifications. The first one is very different to the second one, maybe because of the time that I spent, and now they've got different skills. So the point is, you can't have you're going to hit hurdles, you're going to have challenges and sacrifices, and you're always going to wonder, I wonder if I did more of that, it would have turned out this way. Well, I know at some point you've just got to say, I've got to live my life, you know. I've done my best. I didn't get training for this. I'm just
exactly.
You know. So I think it rounds off to a nice point, which is don't beat yourself up, and also don't make sacrifices if you don't want to. Like a lot of people are really smashing themselves to bits because they feel like they've got to sacrifice. Thank you to Andrew Tate and people like that promoting that you've got to really, really, you know, hustle, and you're a pathetic person if you don't go after something. Forget that. Like, make sure it's something you want to do. Really visualize how it can help you, where it can get you. Would you actually enjoy doing it? That's the most important thing. And then if you would, then give it a go and try and have a long-term vision, you know, 3 to 5 year plan. Most things can be achieved in 3 to 5 years. And I'm talking anything from becoming an absolute expert at a skill to launching a unicorn company and selling it for hundreds of millions. It all happens in 3 to 5 years. Like 3 to 5 years with YouTube, you've literally got university degrees on YouTube. You've got university degrees in books that take you 5 hours to read. And if you really love it, go for it and give yourself that time period. And yeah, just try and enjoy it, and don't sacrifice your health. That's the thing I would say. That's the most important thing.
Did you just get us on Andrew Tate's bad side, man?
I don't think so.
Oh no!
I don't think
so.
No, but there's
next week on the Trader Coffee Break, we're bringing in a special guest Andrew Tate to debate Jason Graystone. Akil wants no parts of it.
Yeah. Again, like, I got nothing against anyone, but I just think there's a lot of people struggling at the moment with I I just feel like I should be doing something else, and everyone's losing their identity completely. I feel that anyway. I just see that going on. There's a real identity problem, right?
Yes, identity in many different ways out there. But it's like I said, it's also the fact that no matter what you do, like you're feeling like you're not successful because you're not perfect. And remember, take this from someone who wasn't the greatest student, right? An 80% on a test, 85% on the test, right? That's fine with me. It's not perfect, but it's passing, and it's better than average. And you don't necessarily have to get 100s all the time. It happens. Like, I mean, I don't know, every parent's different, but I will take a 90% on a test any day.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't have to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. So just like get it out your mind that like, it's not going to happen. Like not to be the downer out there, but it's just not. It's just nothing's perfect. Life isn't perfect, but be as good as you can be.
That's really important. Great message. I think that, even when you get to where you want to go, just being aware that isn't where you're going to want to go is so liberating. It's liberating. Yeah, understanding you'll never, ever get to where your dream life is, because as you progress and you evolve as a human, there's a new idea of what would be great to have, and that's just how we are. It's how we're wired. So great session. This has been one of my favorite sessions, I think.
Yes.
I'm gonna lay it out there and say this has been one of my favorite discussions, most important. And if you guys have got any topics you want us to discuss, bring them, because this is where we talk about the stuff that no one else wants to talk about, but is the most important stuff, especially when it comes to trading. So anything else to add, Akil?
Don't be perfect.
Good advice. Good advice. With that said, guys, join us next week for another Trader Coffee Break. Until then, have a great rest of your day and weekend. And myself and Akil will see you then.
Thanks for joining us for the Trader Coffee Break. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to never miss a live discussion. Follow our hosts on social media. And remember, do nothing to gain perspective on everything. See you next week.